Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's football show, sponsored by Indigo Communications. We're delighted you could join us. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff is alongside me and Hugh Macdonald on this Tuesday, and we'll be looking ahead to full fixture cards in the Scottish Premiership. Lots of games, lots of different permutations that have implications at the top and the bottom of the table. So give us your thoughts on it. We'd love for you to get involved on our feed on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. And if you hit the subscribe button and of course you hit the bell, you'll get all the notifications of our unique content. Lots of great programmes coming your way in the near future as well that I think will interest you. And there's still a one-to-one with Gordon Strack in there that lots of people have been catching up with as well. I mentioned lots to talk about. One of the main stories that emerged this morning was Lee Griffiths signing for Falkirk until the end of the season. He says he just wants to start enjoying football again, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think we'd all like to see him enjoying football because he's top. He's a player we all like to see scoring goals, you know, and he's done that regular. So it really does nearly get to a club. And he's going to a club who really need to get out of that division. You know, I can't see them winning the league, but the playoffs obviously are the reason that he's there. And in that division, you would like to think if he screws the nut, he'll score goals.
Yeah, they're sixth in the table. They've won 2 in the last 10, Hugh. I don't know, maybe he just wants to go somewhere where he can get his shooting boots on, you know, at a lower level, get his confidence up and then maybe attract somebody at a higher level.
Yeah, I mean, because the first step is playing. I mean, he's got to go somewhere where he can play, and he's going to play at Falkirk. I mean, one would imagine that the wage that he's getting there will be quite significant, so they'll be wanting to play him. I watched Falkirk against Airdrie, and Airdrie are in the playoff spots doing well, and I thought there wasn't too much between them that day. I thought Airdrie were slightly better. Dylan Easton in midfield's one of the better players in that division, and he sort of made a difference. But I thought Falkirk could be there or thereabouts those playoffs, Peter, and obviously they think that as well, and they think it's worth investment. But of course the playoffs is no guarantee to get up there either, but that's a club that really needs at least to be in the Championship.
Yeah, I have said it on many an occasion. I think a lot of people have been sympathetic to him as a footballer. I think, you know, there are a few things off the field that I think he needs to address that have an impact on what he's doing on the park, Ruffy. But I think a lot of people are just looking and saying, this is a boy who's wasted his talent.
I can't even argue with that, can we? You know, we talk about the heights of 40 goals a season in the Premier, you know, the goals against England, and ever since then it's just been a downward slide. And you know, and everybody's gave him a chance. It's not as if managers have said, no, we're not taking, we've had enough. We're not. We're prepared to take you at Dundee. We're prepared to take you at Falkirk. So I keep saying this, the penny's got to drop, or he's going to drop himself right out of the equation. You know, he's got to really, somebody's got to put an arm around him and say, look, you need to get back to somewhere where you were and start enjoying football. Yeah,
I mean, listen, you can enjoy football, but I think I wouldn't say the opportunity's gone completely, but you know, you wonder where the last chance saloon is. You wonder how many lives are left for the cat.
Absolutely. I think, you know, at the very top level, I think it's in the rear view window, Peter. There's a great saying, as you know, in sport, that talent is overrated. And, you know, because you need so much more to be a player. We hear it all the time. You talk to coaches, they'll tell you, like Kieran Tierney was no way one of the best at the academy. Where is he now? You know, playing at the top level, English Premier League with Arsenal. You know, you look at pictures of the gone days with the Hibs team, and you look at O'Connor, Riordan, all players that were, you know, thought of as, you know, better than Scott Brown and Stephen Whittaker.
Yeah.
You know, you really, nowadays, I think probably always, but certainly nowadays, you need the full package. Now, you need determination, you've got to buy it, commitment, diet, fitness, because people just not play you.
And know how to conduct yourself, Hugh, because let's be honest about it, that's why Celtic washed their hands of him.
Right.
There was too many misdemeanours in the background.
Absolutely, and then that's to do with commitment, because see, if you commit yourself, there's got to be, I mean, there's got to be sacrifices, there's got to be things. If you know, I had this incredible conversation in Doha, 2 years ago with Andy Robertson, and we were talking to him about, you know, well, you'll notice that the things that are demanded of you at Liverpool will be of a much higher level than the things that were demanded you of at Queen's Park. And he said, yeah, but he said, at Queen's Park, he says, I wouldn't go out for a drink at Queen's Park. All my mates would laugh at me and say, come on, you can go out on a Tuesday, you're not playing on Saturday. He said, no, I'm a professional, I'm an athlete, I want to play. So even at Queen's Park, he had in his mind, I'm not going for a pint. I'm sitting in. I'm, and look. I mean, it's easier to do that when you're at Liverpool because you're getting the rewards. But imagine the commitment of that young lad, not knowing where his career was going, but saying, I'm going to commit everything to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, he's not the first. He's certainly not the last of players who have squandered the talent, who have got involved in things they shouldn't have. Interestingly enough, we were talking about it before we come on air, Ruffy. I wonder, is the conduct of players as bad as it was in your day, or is it just the fact that now they're open to more scrutiny and got a greater chance of being under the microscope because of social media?
Yeah, I don't believe for a minute that they go out and enjoy themselves as much as the players way back in my day. You know, you'd be out in nightclubs, you'd be in pubs after a game. I don't think they do that now. There's a mentality, as you said there, you've got to look after yourself. Don't want to get yourself into trouble, and when you turn up Monday, you've got to be the same level of fitness as everybody else is turning up. So, and it gets spotted now, the guys who aren't, you know. So I think that they are really, really more professional now.
Yeah, Stephen McNamara's having none of it. He says 7 premierships, 3 Scottish Cups, 4 League Cups, 2 goals versus England, top scorer since the formation of the SPFL wasted career. You can twist it and flip it, Hugh, but I would say 2.5 years, the last 2.5 years at Celtic, 24 grand a week and never contributed.
And you just, I mean, good point, you know, pointing out what he has got, and yeah, but it's like everything else, what else could, you know, what could he have done, you know, and that's the great, because even when he was performing well with Celtic, I think amongst everybody around him, there was a feeling that even then, with all those goals, with 2 goals against England, with the wardrobe full of medals, even then, I think people thought there's more to come from this kid.
Yeah, absolutely. And what will he be left with at the end of the career? Certainly, one would hope he's financially well off or secure by the end of it, but only time will tell. That's Lee Griffiths. He's at Falkirk. We'll see how he performs. We've got some games to look forward to, and you can give us your view on it as well. Here's the fixtures for tomorrow night, 6 of them. Aberdeen against Celtic, big match up at Pittodrie, Dundee United Motherwell, Hearts Dundee, Rangers against Hibs is a cracker at Ibrox, Ross County Livingston, and St Mirren against St Johnstone. That Ross County Livingston game has got the makings of a good one as well, because of the form of both sides going into that one. As ever, everybody is waiting to be offended by anything, whether it's a comment or somebody they think their allegiance is one way or the other. And Chris Boyd's comment certainly brought a fair bit of consternation from fans. Celtic even came out with a statement saying they would be seeking clarification. Well, today, Callum McGregor, the Celtic captain, said that regarding the comments that Chris Boyd made, he had a call from the former Rangers player.
Yeah, well, you know, listen, obviously when you first see the comments, it doesn't make great reading. So, you know, firstly, that's, you know, that it doesn't look good in that sense. But, you know, obviously it's been sort of rectified since then, and you know, we've had a chat as well. So, you know, it's put to bed now. It's absolutely fine. We just move on. You know, I think he recognises it was a poor choice of words in the beginning, and you know, for me, then, you know, that's it. We'll chat, we move on, and it's cool.
Well, good of the 2 players to chat, one former, one currently playing. Sometimes, you know, maybe a better choice of words on it, as Callum mentioned here from Chris Boyd. But the nature of the game is you want opinions, you know, and you want an insight into the way footballers play, the way they think. That's what we crave. We crave every morsel of a player and what he thinks and what the reactions are. We want the dressing room as well. So fair play to Chris Boyd trying to clarify the position with him.
I wonder how you could clarify it though, because I thought it was pretty clear.
Yeah, it wasn't a good line.
Oh, it's not,
you know, don't go out. I mean, the last thing you want is to see anybody suggesting you go out and smash a player. But we've all said, we've all said things that we think, I could have phrased that better.
Yeah, I think the sort of the inference that was taken was he was saying, Rangers should have smashed into Cal McGregor.
Yeah.
Now it was so. I think people in the olden days, everybody would have thinking that as a matter of rote. That's what you did.
I can't remember anybody, apart from the Van de Kerkhoff brothers, wearing a cast. One of them had
World Cup final.
World Cup final. But I don't think I remember too many players wearing a mask in the 70s. Gaza wore it for Lazio, I think.
Right, yeah. I mean, the mask thing just wouldn't have been about in those days. You just wouldn't have played with one in those days because of just the technical, the medical knowledge. I think it was a right poor choice of words. I think it was a right poor choice of intentions. I think Chris Boyd's done the right thing, phoned him up and said, listen, I made and Cal McGregor says, fine, and we move on. And I think that's the best place for it, just move on. I think, I think there was a lot of frustration in Rangers ranks after the game that they stood off Celtic. And I think that played into it as well, that they hadn't laid a glove, shall we say, on Celtic, and I think that played into it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And as ever, Ruffy, when you get to the situation, and again, I don't think it's healthy at times for us to go down a road of starting to comment on pundits for everywhere, because you offer opinions. Some are good, some are rotten, some people don't like you. Doesn't matter. I mean, it's kind of a difficult sometimes if you are in contact with a person and you know them personally, and then you have a different perspective. I mean, I play five-a-sides with Chris Boyd. At the end of the day, he's a former Rangers player and he's offered his opinion on it, and I think even he accepts he could have chosen his words better. But you do get, as you know, after these games, a certain amount of hysteria that surrounds it, whether it's a comment or whether it's a tackle or a referee or whatever, you name it.
Yeah, you've just got to make your mind up, in what context he did mean it. If he did mean it, somebody should have went out and smashed him in the face, then it's not on, and he was quite right, to say, I think he realised what he'd said was wrong, and you have to give him a credit for coming out very quickly, because TV companies and that don't like that kind of thing. If they think it's wrong, and a lot of people can lose their jobs. So he's smart enough to say, right, okay, have my hands up. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. And that's the way to get it out the road.
But it's the kind of thing that we'd only discuss because the Celtic captain brings it up in a press conference.
Well, absolutely.
We wouldn't talk about that in this show.
You're right. I would not have discussed Chris Boyd's comments because everybody's entitled to, in each area that they work in broadcasting, to offer their opinion. I mean, Johnny D, I think makes a very good point. He says Boyd was really annoyed with the Rangers players standing off Celtic players.
That's the point I made. I think the Rangers ranks they didn't like. They felt they hadn't put a glove on Celtic. They'd let Celtic play, and especially old style. And I would put Chris Boyd into that, the old style where get a leg and let them know you're there and all this, which has literally drifted completely out of football, really, because people, that robust and sometimes overly physical side of it is really diminished over the years.
I think we made it worse. It wasn't that you were insinuating to give somebody an injury. It's somebody who has the injury.
And it could exacerbate it.
You want to make it worse. You know what I mean? It's not as if to say, Ryan Jack, somebody got in half him in two. But
yeah, let's not overanalyze it. He said his piece. That, by the way, the game was last Wednesday. Anyway, thanks to everybody who offers their tuppence worth on it. It's all about opinions, and apologies to quite a few people who are obviously peeved, Ruffy, that I'm wearing shorts. You wear shorts, everybody takes it okay.
It's nice and warm in here.
No, I know he's trying to take the heat off me. There's a few on here who are well peeved, but Ruffy, the thing is, as you know yourself, time's marching on. I've got to try and get as many tennis lessons in as possible to get different shots to try and beat you.
Yeah, and I have said on numerous occasions, I think you are improving.
Yep.
That it just depends how much you want to spend in lessons. I mean, 2,000 quid's a lot of money.
No, it's not 2,000 quid. It's close.
Once you put the VAT in.
You've got to. He's such a good player. I've just got to shift him about, you know. And by the way, as you said, sometimes talent is not enough. You know what I mean? You've just got to work hard.
You've got to work hard.
So apologies for anybody who's miffed with me wearing shorts on this programme today. But nevertheless, lots of great games ahead. Aberdeen against Celtic up at Pittodrie. We spoke to Andrew Shiney yesterday. My God, that boy needs counselling now, doesn't he? Because Aberdeen are on a run which is abysmal. We talked about it yesterday. I don't know. I mean, I think Andrew mentioned it. He says it's not a case of whether Celtic will win or not. It's by how many in his eyes. Or are we going to get, which I think Rangers fans have been saying, and a lot of my mates have been saying, let's see how Aberdeen stand up to Celtic tomorrow night, because they really get the bit them by their teeth when they see Rangers walking out at Pittodrie.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure the players will be up for it.
You think so?
Oh, Scott Brown and them have them wound up. You know, we know Celtic are a quality side, so I would eventually say they would win the game. You know, but I can't see Celtic getting up there and scoring 3 and 4. You know, I think it'll be harder than that, but. No, I think when Celtic or Rangers come in, it doesn't matter what team you are, you want to put up a performance. And the unfortunate thing for Aberdeen is the supporters think they should be third every year, you know, and they're not anywhere near that. You know, if they get in the top 6 this year, it'd be a bonus.
Yeah.
So that's the pressure, but the pressure is the cup this weekend.
Yeah.
You know, that if they go out of both cups, that's the only avenue they have for success.
Well, let's be honest about it, Hugh. You know, Aberdeen are a fan base with expectation. And I think if they were to lose heavily tonight and go out of the cup, they'd be calling for his head, and rightly so, because you have to get results. It's a results-driven business. If Dave Cormack, sticks in and shows a bit of resolve, he backs his man. He hired him. That might be the saving grace for him. Or do you think he should deserve time?
I think he stays on because of that Dave Cormack thing. I think a businessman with as most businessmen I've met in life, with a big ego and a big decision-making process, will find it very difficult in February to say, well, I've gone down the wrong road. I think he will phrase it, and he might believe it as well, as it really needs more time, and it's a whole culture change. We've changed the players, we've lost players, we've had injuries. I would suspect that Stephen Glassett will get time, but I also think that there'll be a huge fan. I think there is at the moment, Peter. I think there's huge disaffection, and I think it can get worse. The thing about football's a really crazy game, because if you look at the fixtures list, you go Aberdeen v Celtic, that's a game. But see if you instead of saying Aberdeen v Celtic, if you said you looked at the record of the team playing Celtic, if you said this is Aberdeen at X in the league with X wins on a run of X things, you're going, that changes it.
Yeah.
And they are on a poor run, but I think my gut feeling is Cormack gives them time.
Well, Stephen Glass is expecting his players to respond.
I think we're sitting. We've got a game in hand against St Johnstone next midweek. We've got a tough game coming up, and then we obviously got Motherwell in the league as well. So we've got big opportunities coming up. Anytime it's felt like, obviously the spell earlier in the season when we had a really tough spell of games coming up, I think it was, I don't know what order, it was Hibs, Hearts, Rangers. We handled it pretty well, because there seemed like there was a huge demand, and the players really, really responded. Anytime they've been poked and questioned, they've responded, and I don't see this being a different situation.
Well, you can start citing games that are coming up that they reckon they could bounce back, if it doesn't go according to plan against Celtic. But you'd say, could they take something against St Johnstone? St Johnstone have slowly but surely started to steady the ship. Motherwell as well are good, despite the fact that they get hammered at the weekend.
No, I think Aberdeen are still good enough, particularly at home, to take care of their teams, the St Mirrens and the Livingstons and the likes. I do think they'll get their act together. Maybe not tomorrow night, but I do think they'll end up in the top 6.
Yeah, I think, I know you've said it twice, Robbie, that doesn't make it any more emphatic. But I agree with what Andrew said yesterday. I think My personal opinion is I think they're in disarray at the back. I don't think there's a solid back four. I think you have a situation where everybody's talking about Calvin Ramsey, great hot prospect. The back four can't shut it up. They can't shut up shop. They're losing goals, and then sometimes they're chasing the game, can't get back into it. I think the defence is the big problem, and it's almost the opposite of what Fergie used to build that team on.
Or even McInnes.
And McInnes, to be fair to him as well, he must be looking and thinking, hey, be careful what you wish for. This is what you've got.
Yep, that's the way of it. I think the groundswell of Aberdeen support has come over a few years. There's always this big cliche that, Aberdeen fans want to go back to the days of Fergie. That's nonsense. If Aberdeen fans are no daft, they know that it's long gone. But what they do expect is like third in the league, a good cup run, maybe winning a cup. I think Derek McInnes is the big feeling for Derek, I think, was not finishing third a couple of times, but I think was not winning a cup. And he got to finals, but he played Celtic, in the Rodgers pomp. But, in an era where Ross County, Inverness, won cups, St Johnstone won cups. I think that's what it did for him. But certainly the focus is a wee bit lower this season. I mean, getting into the top six is now the focus.
Yeah, absolutely. Just as a little footnote, there is a suggestion, Hugh, that there maybe at the game at the weekend, Celtic against Wraith Rovers, that the standing section could be closed. And suddenly Celtic are looking at flares, they're looking at banners that I questioned on this programme as well. I've been quite critical of listening to IRA songs and things like that, and Celtic are watching that area closely.
Yep, and I think the pyro was a tipping point. They have had long-standing issues with that over the years. There's a feeling of almost like that, and this is a legal thing. It's not.
Yeah.
And there's a feeling among some sections of sports, particularly the South, this is what they do all over Europe, and it adds to the atmosphere and all that, but it's illegal. It's not on.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
There are health and safety issues, which I think is the real driving force at the
absolutely.
moment.
It's got to be.
Yeah. We wait to see what reaction will come from that, and if indeed it stands up to certainly the chat that's going on at the moment with regards to that game. So Aberdeen Celtic, I don't know if have we put our predictions in yet, Ruffy?
No.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to go Aberdeen 0, Celtic 3.
Yeah, I probably would say the same.
Yeah, Ruffy?
I'd probably go 2-0.
2, just a kind of a spread betting. Nothing really,
Because he said earlier on, I can't see him scoring 3 or 4 against Aberdeen. He's got to now go 2.
And now that yous have went 3, I've not got 3.
Okay, Ruffy, brilliant. Now, listen, on to Rangers against Hibs, which belter under normal circumstances again, but suddenly we're looking at it and we're saying to ourselves, Rangers, I'm looking at 11 wins, 3 draws and 1 defeat in the last 15 games. It's good going. There was a little bit of consternation after the Celtic game, which you would expect, but they've absolutely bounced back in style against Hearts.
And usually, usually you would say that Ibrox is not the problem for Rangers. Ross County was dropped points on the road. Aberdeen was Pittodrie. Celtic, obviously, Celtic Park. And Hearts was a really good result because it was a convincing riposte to people who were, were doubting, where the Rangers go from now.
Yeah.
So that was a really good 3 points. I expect them to win tomorrow night. I think Hibs will come out and play because that's the only way Sean Maloney knows how to coach, but not the only way. It's the way he wants to coach his side. I think there's 2 Rangers getting Morelos back.
Yep.
And Hibs, losing Boyle, for example, I think that's a big problem.
Yeah, we'll look at the intricacies of what Hibs will adopt as a game plan for this. When Giovanni Van Bronckhorst was speaking today ahead of the game, and this is what he had to say with regards to some of the injury problems. Ryan Jack out after a problem with his ankle. He will be out of the squad for tomorrow. I don't think it's serious. He got a knock during the game it's not a serious injury, which is good news. Aaron Ramsey is not quite ready to start yet. You can see his quality in training, and in his early minutes he is improving every day, and it's great to see the improvements in only a week. We have a strong squad. I'm really happy to have the luxury of a strong squad to select from. You want a settled team, but you will always have a need to rotate the side, and I think personally, and a lot of people say to us they're amazed that the other clubs voted for 5 substitutions, but I think personally the squad is where the league is going to be won and lost, Ruffy, for players who can come on from the bench and make an impact.
Yeah, I think that's what Rangers' success were last season. You know, they had that in depth that were coming on. Celtic have got it this year. I think both of them have got it this year, and that's why they're drawn away from everybody else. You know, and this it'd be interesting to see what the score is tomorrow night. I said 45 minutes. I thought Hearts were sort of holding their own against Rangers, and then everything fell to bits. But as we listen to Tam sees them 90 minutes every week, the confidence up front is gone. You know, and if they're not scoring goals, and you put pressure on everybody else, so I think Rangers will just motor on tomorrow night again. I don't think it'll be as bad as for Hearts, the Hearts score. So I still think Rangers will win quite easily.
Yeah, I think they'll win as well, if only for the fact that I've been watching the way Sean wants Hibs to play, Hugh. And it's one of those situations where I don't think this whole playing out from the back, trying to keep possession, and I'm not sure they're good enough to do that against Rangers at Ibrox.
Well, it was a great Wim Janssen thing when he came to Celtic. He was asked, why did he not play out for the back? Why did he get Jonathan Gould to launch it? And he said because the strength of the players in front of him is not to play the ball out from the back. That's not their strength, so there's no point playing that way.
Yeah.
So there's a real pragmatism about that. I think that's why he's finding it difficult to win the fans over at the moment. There's a certain amount of skepticism about the way he's continually pushing, and the manager's got to stay strong on it. But the Hibs fans have yet to be convinced. Yeah, and you've got to stay very strong, because remember, it was like Brendan Rodgers in Europe with Celtic. They didn't have the players to play out against that level. Yeah, absolutely. And he still said, no, this is the way I'm going to play. So it's a very high risk strategy, particularly in a game. We always go back to it. As this game, it's about results. We would like to get. You don't get marks for artistic impression. Yeah, it's not the ice skating. No, absolutely. But I think he'll continue to play the way he will. I think he's not got the ammunition. I think Rangers too strong tomorrow night. Yeah, absolutely. And just looking at it, Ruffy, it's a strange one. I was talking to a few of the Rangers fans who were wondering about the type of players. You've got a squad there that can make an impact from the bench as well. You wonder about some of the players that they are going to stay, or will they move on? I'm looking at players this summer: McGregor, Golson, Balogun, Arfield, Davis, all out of contract. So it's all in for the title, and then I think he's got a big rebuilding job in the summer.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
Some will stay, some will go though.
No, I think the majority of the ones will go. I think Golson's been told, right, we've maybe had bids for you, but you're not going anywhere, because we need to win the league, and we're keeping everybody together. Players like that, Kamara as well. He obviously thought he maybe get a move. Aribo might have thought he might have got a move in January, but no, Rangers have, right for the very start, I've said this year is the be all and end all, and I've just thrown everything at it. Yeah, and of course another thing about tomorrow night, I hope we're not talking about it at the end of the 90 minutes, is the conduct of Ryan Porteous. He's been involved in a few flare-ups in these games. I don't know what it is about Rangers, I don't know what kind of, but he just seems to relish the battle and then lose the plot.
And it's not as if he's up against a centre forward tomorrow night that will be aggressive towards him either. Yeah. It's got all the makings of there's got all the makings of another really big tussle. It'll be a full crowd. The crowd's really energised because there is a title race, no matter which way you slice it. So there'll be nerves and tension there. There's always a big rivalry with Celtic, with Rangers and Hibernian. So yeah, I mean, I don't expect them to take a step back, Peter.
Yeah, interestingly enough, we talked at the top of the programme, and we mentioned it on our Facebook Live as well, Hugh. If anything, sometimes managers are able to make a little signing if there's a free agent kicking about. Robert Snodgrass has been linked with Hibs. Aberdeen are sniffing around. If he was thinking about coming back to Scotland, he's a player I think can contribute to both those teams.
I think no problem at all. You know, technically he's excellent. He'll still have fitness about him. He's played at the very highest level.
Yeah. I wonder if Hibs are prompted into it because of the injury to Joe Newell.
Yeah, because you could. But the thing about when you've got Snodgrass, I mean, I know he's not got the pace anymore, but he can play coming in from either wing, and he can play 10 as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I wouldn't sniff at Robert Snodgrass.
Yeah, Kevin McFarlane says, Peter, you love sticking it to Porteous, leave the lad alone. Kevin just likes a noise up on that field. Sometimes I don't know why I read Kevin out. I read Kevin out because I really like people that, you know, I look for a player in the middle of the park, Hugh, that I can have an argument with and have a wee dig with.
Or in the audience.
Or even in tennis, or in the audience. It's a good point. So I always read Kevin out because he always likes to throw a grenade in. I don't think I've got it in for Porteous. I mean, Porteous is one of those players that I think he's my type of player because he can pass the ball out. And, you know, I just wish he would listen to some of the experienced players. Pat Stanton's undoubtedly chatted to him. People and just say, look, you've got the potential to be a really good player. You're not good sitting in the stand in a suspension.
Yeah, you can talk all you want until they go into the environment and the environment grabs a hold of them. And when you've got 50,000 people there and you want to win every ball, you want to win every 50-50, you want to let people run about you, know that you're there. Sometimes it just, the wee half a yard just gets you caught out, and he's that kind of player, you know, if he doesn't time it. But I don't think he's got any malice in him, you know. I think he's a 100% player who wants to win every tackle, and sometimes the way we've seen some of the tackle, every time you look at a game now, we're analysing somebody coming in with their boot up or somebody come from a distance, and that's what kind of player he is. He's just going to go in and tackle. They're lucky they're not watching Eric Shadler. Yeah, for the older viewers, Eric. I used to shut my eyes when I saw him tackling somebody. Yeah, the winger was coming. You would just shut your eyes and go, yeah, is that boy okay?
Well, it's funny you saying that because Davy Province said to me that when he was up at Pittodrie, Hugh, he used to, when they were warming up, he'd run over and have a look at the gravel pitch and say, I wonder which part I'm going to be landing on from Doug Rugby.
He told a great story to me. I interviewed him the other week there, and he told a great story about John Gregg. He was playing for Kilmarnock against John Gregg, and he was skinning him and kept skinning him, and he eventually skins him again. He puts a lovely cross in, and Greg goes, good ball, son. That was a lovely ball, son. And David went down past, oh, that's great. He says, the next minute I got the ball, he says, out for 3 months, ankle ligaments.
And that's when you played against hardened men. Greggy's patter was absolutely fantastic. So with that in mind, we never get a chance to chat to you because it was last Tuesday, Hugh. The Old Firm game is gone. You've witnessed Rangers and Celtic at the weekend. Do you think, as Tam McManus mentioned, that this could come down to goal difference as tight as that? Do you think there's a shift in the pendulum towards Celtic, or do you think it's still tightly in the balance, or do you think it's going to be the Old Firm games that will determine who's winning the title?
All four.
Yeah, is that it? Right, okay.
But I think it's definitely going to be tight. I think the pendulum has swung to Celtic. How long it'll swing to them and then swing back, we don't know. But you've got to say it swung to Celtic because at one point they were 7 points behind, now they're a point ahead. So the pendulum has swung. I think I don't think by any manner of means that means the title race is, you know, Celtic's to lose it, and I think it's going to be really tight. And I think the Old Firm games will be decisive, and I think that's why I think Celtic had to win last week because of historic reasons. They hadn't won for 2 years, etc., and because it then put them on a point ahead of Rangers and change the dynamic. I think the most crucial thing about Celtic as we talk about bench is that we were talking in the summer when Postecoglou came in and said, oh, he really needs to get 4 or 5 starters in and all that. And you look at what he has done, win, lose or draw, what he has done since the summer is astonishing.
Yeah.
It's astonishing. I mean, if you look at Saturday's team, it was a Sunday's team against Motherwell, who didn't, people that didn't start the game. Didn't start. Bain, okay, number 2 goalkeeper. Juranovic didn't start.
Yep.
Kyogo didn't start. Julian didn't start. Welsh didn't start. Turnbull didn't start. You go through, that's 27 and 8 good players that didn't start. You say, whatever happens, that's a great turnaround.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great finish to it. Calling it at the moment is so difficult. It'll swing one way, then the other, when you look at the way the two of them are performing. And it's always those moments, Ruffy. The reason why I love this at the moment, I would like a bigger league. You can still have the twos and fros and the excitement and the split, and you can still have the playoffs as well. And I've made my case for why I would like a bigger league. But one thing that's good about this is suddenly we are looking at a league where, there's a couple of teams at the bottom could become detached. There's a few teams in the middle that have aspirations to go up the way, and then at the top end you've got Celtic and Rangers. The only thing I'm disappointed with, Ruffy, is Hibs, Hearts, Aberdeen they're just not where they should be, to get. Sure. I mean, Hearts, you're thinking, they were talking about them about a month ago, Hugh, splitting Celtic and Rangers. And they've just been spanked 5-0.
Yeah, well, I think I said at the beginning of the season, this is going to be a great season because it looks as if Aberdeen, Hearts and Hibs have got their act together and they're going to be a challenge. It doesn't look like it now, and the evidence of some of the scores that we're seeing. I still think these ones away from home will be the only ones where Rangers and Celtic will slip up. I can't see Rangers and Celtic losing any home games at all. So then you start breaking it down. What is it? 13 games left. 13 if you've got 7 at home.
Yeah.
So there's 6 games. I think they've got chances of falling in their face, but there's no hard rule to that. I think when the split comes, it's going to be a brave person that gives one of them 3 home games and 2 away games.
Well, that's going to be that's going to happen, and that is going to happen. And if you look at the teams outside the split, that's the next big. There's going to be
all the conspiracy theories are out. I've had emails from people going, by the way, here's the permutations. I had a message from one of our viewers saying, by the way, do you know the split's coming up, and this is what could happen?
Yep, and it's a big story. Yeah. It's a big story, just because everything's going to be a big story in this. I mean, everyone's so tight, and everything's so. You talk about the pendulum swinging. Yeah, the pendulum's gone to Celtic, but if Rangers win comfortably tomorrow night and Celtic draw Aberdeen, suddenly everybody's going, the pendulum swung the other way.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be forensically examined.
Which manager is under the most pressure in this division, Ruffy, right now? Will you think?
James McPake.
Yeah.
I think we touched on it, not in great deal, the financial situation that they threw out there. If Dundee were to go into that division that we were in, it'd be financially, that's why I think James needs to start winning games, because if he doesn't win games, the owners will start saying, look, this is the financial situation we're in. If we drop out of this league, we're in serious trouble. Then they panic and they say, is there anybody can save us? And that's when managers lose their job.
Yeah, 1 win in 10, and that was in the cup. Not great, is it?
No. And he'll know it as well. He's under pressure. The big thing at the league table is the way that gap has opened up. And not only has it opened up, but if you're looking at the teams that you would expect to be involved in a 3-way or a 4-way fight, you would expect Ross County and Livingston to be in that fight. Ross County and Livingston are going to either, one of them's going to get points tomorrow night, maybe both, because they're playing each other. Another thing about it is their form is so good that they don't look like teams that are going to go down. Yeah. Livingston have come back from a bad wee spell and have rallied together, are scoring goals, look bright, look organised. Don't look like a team in any way under any kind of turmoil. Ross County, Malky Mackay at Ross County really, done so well. He's made them on the front foot. There's goals in that team. There's absolute up front, crucially, there's quality in that team.
Yeah.
So you're saying to yourself, if you're some a Dundee and St Johnstone supporter, you're saying, hey, not a really turnaround in form for us might not even be enough.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they come up against Hearts, and Hearts will be, sore after that one, and they'll be looking for a response. And Robbie Nielsen will be calling on his players to give him a response as well.
Yeah, I never saw anything in Dundee at the weekend. The heads will be down the way they lost that game. Very difficult to pick them up, and we all know going to Tynecastle's always going to be a battle. And you're right, Hearts are going to try and prove to the supporters that Rangers game, the scoreline was a one-off, not getting beat. But I can't see Dundee taking in that game.
No, I mean, at least they've got someone up there now who's maybe going to cause a little bit of hassle, is Zach Rudden.
Yeah, Zach will cause them problems. He'll put himself about, but he's not up there himself. It's a lone battle. I think you need somebody up there beside him, and he will score goals because that's what he is. He's a goal scorer. But I think they need more than that.
Yeah, and Jim O'Neill, thanks Jim for the point. And again, I think it's pertinent to mention from Hearts from the weekend, they did lose. They had no Suter or Halkett, which is fine. It's a good point to make. They were absolutely ripped up at one point. They did have a little period in the game, but they're at home. The Rangers game is now behind them, and now they've just got to try and build again. But I'm looking at it, and I think there was an expectation about Hearts earlier on, as Ruffy said, in the season, but there's now that gap where it's just Celtic and Rangers and then the rest.
Hearts' job is to win the rest league.
Yeah.
That'll get them a European place. That'll get them income for next season. And then the real crucial thing that what we should all be pushing, we're jumping ahead of the gun, is that for Scottish teams, once they get into these European competitions, to qualify for the stages, the amount of participants for qualification is going to go up, and it gives us all a better chance. That's Hearts. I mean, I never bought into splitting Rangers or Celtic.
Yeah.
I mean, the gap in wages and quality is huge. There's, you've got the situation now where you've got Celtic giving loan players to Aberdeen.
Yeah. That sums it up. I know. Listen, the only teams out with, I think it's Motherwell and Aberdeen are the only two teams that have actually beaten Hearts this season. The rest have all been defeats to Celtic and Rangers. So that gives you an indication, and it kind of sums it up. Ruffy, I think Hearts will bounce back, and I think they'll bounce back emphatically. I'm going to go 3-1 Hearts.
No, I'm going to stick with 2-0, I think.
Is that your favourite score? Are you just going to stick with that to try and points?
2-0, no, 2-1's a banker scoreline.
Yeah, but you're going
to go 2-0 in this one.
Even with Zach, your old man from Thistle.
Yeah, no, I hope he does well.
Yeah, but not tomorrow night.
No, 2-0 tomorrow night.
Okay, Hugh?
Everything in my head says Hearts. I just feel it's getting to the real... it's getting to a real crisis for Dundee. I think they might hold on for a scrappy draw. There we go.
Yeah, okay. We'll take your word for it. Ross County, Livingston, two teams. This one's so tough to call. Malky Mackay, if anything, will now be well aware that every game everybody's watching Regan Charles Cook.
I'm surprised he's still there.
So am I.
Yeah, really. I mean, sometimes sometimes you get blindsided. But you say, we've got any time I've watched him, you just go, oh, come on.
Yeah.
What's he doing?
But you know the good thing about it? With Malky will have sat him down and said, listen, don't bite in the January window. Hang on, fire in the goals for us, and you'll get even more money in the summer.
Yep. But young men are impatient, and young men are looking, agents are looking at, let's move on quickly. You might get an injury, who knows what happens. But it's a smart decision, I agree with that, and I think it's a smart decision for the player and the club. But I was... there's talk here, as you know, of EPL clubs looking at him. There's some substance to it. I mean,
think he's good enough?
No, I think not yet. I think he's got attributes that could make him very, could take him very high, and that his technique's very good. He's decisive when he's one-on-one, and he's got pace. I think, he could go on. At the moment, I don't think the English Premier League, but certainly a good Championship club.
Ruffy?
I'm surprised Hibs never went for him. I thought he was just a swap for Boyle. Maybe not as good as Boyle, but at least he would give the fans something that they've not got now. They've not got a player who gets them off their seat with Scott Allen, only playing 15, 20 minutes here and there. He's the kind of player, that the fans would have maybe bought into when your results aren't going particularly well.
Ross County, I'm looking, they've managed to draw against Rangers, draw against Aberdeen, and again that win over Dundee, and the Dundee one was the big one.
Huge.
I think the points against Rangers and Aberdeen, were those bonuses that just gave them that little bit of breathing space. I don't see Ross County being involved in any way, Ruffy. I know you've not been a fan, but I look at them and I've watched them, and I've been at the games to watch them, and I think they play good football.
Yeah, they score goals.
Yeah.
I mean, they're apart from Rangers and Celtic, are they the next top goal scorers or something like that?
Yeah.
They're not far away. I still think they need to win these games. If they don't win these kind of games, they could get drawn into it.
Yeah.
But they're scoring goals, so I'm reluctant to go for them to win tomorrow night, but I might just have to do that.
Yeah, well, give us the score.
2-1.
2-1, your favourite scoreline. I'm going to go Ross County to win 1-0.
I'll go narrow win Ross County. I'm not made up the exact arithmetic of it, but narrow.
Yeah,
narrow win
on that one. Livy, to their credit, Hugh.
Livy have been terrific. I mean, Livy, when everybody, Livy should be bottom of the league. It's that simple. Their budget is low. They've got people in short-term contracts, etc. But Dave Martindale's done terrifically well, and I was a bit scathing about. You're allowed to win games anyway in football, but they rely a lot on set pieces. But against Hibs, they played some nice football as well. I think, but I still think. I think Ross County just has a wee bit too much for them.
Yeah, okay. Dundee United against Motherwell. I think Tony Watt's still to hit the. I think they've been impressed with his overall play, but Motherwell have missed him. That's a cert, because Tam Cowan mentioned it to us last week. I watched them. I thought they played some good football, but there was just something missing, Ruffy, at the top end. Didn't really threaten Joe Hart at all.
No, they didn't, and I'm hoping Tony Watt does score the night and breaks his duck
Tomorrow night,
before he comes to us on Saturday. So in the cup.
Yeah. Why do you want him to break it tonight?
Well, I don't want to break it against us.
Yeah. But if he breaks it tomorrow night, he's going to be full of confidence.
If he scores tonight, he might not going to score twice, is he?
He's not going to score tonight.
Yeah.
That's one thing we know.
No, tomorrow night. Yeah.
I can't split the two.
No,
I'm the same.
Why?
Because Dundee United, I thought, were very fortunate at home against Ross County. I thought that they got a couple of wee breaks here and there. I still don't think they're firing on all cylinders, and I haven't been impressed with Motherwell all season, but when they come up against teams of an equal level, they usually do particularly well. So I'll probably go one each in this one.
Yeah, 2 wins in the last 5, United, and then there was a whole month where they were just woeful in December. You can't really second guess them at the moment. They've got a couple of draws to steady the ship, but.
If you were looking at the bottom of the league and saying, you always like to say, what team would parachute down to this? What team might be the one that comes in? Dundee United would be that team for me.
Yeah.
That would come down into that. I think tomorrow I'll go for a goalless draw.
Oh, interesting again. United have had 2 goalless draws, Ruffy. Where's your money on?
One each for me. I think with Nicky Clark in there and obviously Tony Watt, they've always got a chance of scoring, but they always leak one at the end. The only person I've been really impressed with Dundee United is the goalkeeper.
Yeah, Secrets.
He is. I can't believe he's still there. He is destined to go places. And if you look at any game he's been their man of the match. He's the one that's made the saves, that's kept them in the game or won a game. He's been absolutely top notch.
Okay, I'm going to go. I'm going to go 2-1 Dundee United, just to sneak it. And what about the Battle of the Saints?
Yeah.
If anything, suddenly Callum Davison is starting to change the team.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely, but he had to get that back door shut, and he started to do that. But St Mirren, Jim Goodwin for me I think Jim Goodwin's a good manager.
Of course, I don't think there's any argument about that. I mean, he did so well at Alloa, and at St Mirren, he's done well there. I think Jim would have been sick at losing that last minute goal.
You could have seen him on the touchline.
I mean, to Motherwell, that's such a, one from 3 points down to 1 point. I think this will be a battle.
Yeah,
and he'll be
they're
a
unbeaten
tough
in
one.
5, by the way.
I think St Mirren will just sneak it. There you go.
Oh, Ruffy, what about yourself? What scoreline are you going for?
1-0.
No, I'm again. This is a draw for me.
Yeah.
I think both teams. I think St Johnstone are getting their act together a wee bit. I still don't think they've got 2 goals in them. So, and St Mirren likewise. They've always got a goal. So I'm going to go 1 each.
Yeah, I'm going to go 1 each as well, Ruffy. I'm finding it very difficult to separate them. Okay, that's the Premiership. You can give us your view on it as well. What do you think is going to happen? Top end, Celtic and Rangers, who's going to slip up? Will there be a slip up? Or is it just another 2 wins? Will it be the head-to-head between them that gets the eventual winner of the Scottish Premiership title? And who's going down between St Johnstone and Dundee? Or do you think someone will hit that slippery slope and go into the playoff or the relegation place? There's a real danger that those 2 sides could become detached. We're on the road on Thursday. We're in at King Street at Social Recluse. We've done a deal with Social Recluse. We've got our merchandise. You can get the old Maestro top in. It's a training top, Ruffy. It's great for going out golfing, tennis. Might be good for going out to a nightclub as well. I've been.
You're taking that too far.
Yeah, but you can get it in red,
colours,
green, blue, or black. Depends on your persuasion or what team. You could be a Chelsea fan or a Rangers fan, or you could be the ethos behind the whole thing was Bill Shankly.
Yep.
Hugh, because quite simply they used to wear a similar top to this in the 70s.
I know it, I saw it,
and we kind of upgraded it a little bit, so you can get the green one, you can get the red, blue, or the black. And the black one for me was based on Sir Bobby Robson.
Oh, was it?
I was just thinking of Sir Bobby Robson when I was thinking about the black one. The red one, Bill Shankly, and the actual royal blue one I was thinking of was Jock Wallace.
No.
No. But there are many others. I mean, it depends on who you support. You could have a favourite English team that's, that you're into for it.
Aye, of course you can. I mean, there's plenty of blues and reds and greens and whatever. There's plenty of teams in blacks. There's plenty of teams that wear all those colours now.
Yeah, I have to be honest with you. The green one, I wasn't thinking about Plymouth Argyle. I might as well be honest with you.
No, was it more Hereford?
Yes. It depends on whether you want to get into the King Street shop. We've got one lucky winner on the competition who will be coming with us to enjoy the chat, because Hugh's going to be there, Ruffy's going to be there as well. There's some good gear that I think Ruffy will like, lots of retro stuff, and maybe not the 90s music, Ruffy. I know you were into the Bachelors, but there's a lot of retro Joy Division and Oasis stuff.
I think I'll ever get that Blondie one now.
No, you won't. Don't worry about it. Now, a couple of things I want to say before we go. Hugh, want to get your thoughts on it all. We talked about Hampden. Is it a good idea? I know a number of people have mentioned good idea to collectively the home nations in Ireland to look towards the European Championships rather than the World Cup?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, and I'll tell you why, because there's no chance of getting the World Cup.
I'd love to see the World Cup.
I'd love to see the World Cup.
It
would be great. But you saw what England had put into it when Russia got it.
Yeah.
And they're just not going to get, they're just going to get over the line. We could go
Why
down.
not?
Well, we could go down many roads, but the transparency in voting might be the best.
Yeah.
So this is. I know they've cleaned up the voting, but
do you think we'll see a World Cup on these shores in our lifetime?
Well, you might. Me and Ruffy won't.
Yeah.
Me and Ruffy, we were lucky if we see the Scottish Cup final this year.
I don't believe that for a minute. But well, European Championships would be great because we got a wee taste of it.
Well, that was that. I mean, the European Championships was so sad. I mean, there was greater tragedies we know during COVID, but my son and I, we went and watched Ukraine versus Sweden at Hampden. And it was only a quarter full, 12,000 stadium, and it really gave you a taste, even with 12,000 in it. It gave you a taste of what it'd be like to have, countries and cultures visiting you in a big game, and it was a big game, obviously, for Ukraine and Sweden. I would love the European Cup. Of course, I would love the World Cup, Peter, but I don't think I think they made the correct decision there. I thought, nah, it's not on. Let's go for something that might be on.
Yeah, okay. Would you give money if you were the government to Hampden? Would you like to see it?
I
know Hugh loves it. I'm not a big fan.
I think there's a great atmosphere in Hampden when it's full and it's one of these nights. But I thought with Hugh being over, looking at the new stadiums for the World Cup, the modern stadiums, you've got to have a modern stadium. You've got to do something to bring it up to what what the modern day luxury stadiums look like. And I don't mean a complete overhaul. I'd like the two ends to be brought in. I think anybody sitting behind the goals, it must be a nightmare watching the game. I think
I'd love
bringing the two ends in and doing something modern, make it look modern. I mean, you've seen all the modern.
You want it? Do you want it like the Allianz Arena?
Something that's up to date with.
Have you seen the Allianz Arena?
Yes. No. I don't get it, actually.
Do you know what I like? I loved the one of my favourite stadiums is Amsterdam Ajax.
That's a great stadium.
Because you're right there. The Westfalen's good, but it's. I'm not sure they'd structurally change Hampden so much, but you could structurally look to try.
It's all about money, Peter.
Yeah,
it's all about money. I mean, I was over in Qatar. We looked at the 6 stadiums the 8 stadiums that are built for the World Cup, and they cost $8 billion. So that's $1 billion a stadium, and that's without having to buy the land. That's without, because the land's owned. It's $1 billion a stadium.
Yeah, we haven't got that. I mean, there's a lot of people here not too happy with Hampden as well.
Right.
If you're behind the goals, one of our viewers has just said you as well watching the game from Calcutta. I mean, I don't like behind the goals, Ruffy.
Not particularly when there's.
And by the way, see if you're down at the front seats.
Oh, it's impossible.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. You're right. See if they brought it in there, and then just. Again, little tweaks to bring that in.
The tweaks at that level cost a lot of money, though.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. Anyway, apart from anything else, it might be me. Somebody's saying who's got the crinkly mic. You never know. Might be me. Just moving my chin there. Thanks to everyone for their opinions on the games. We will look at it in greater detail tomorrow with the final team news and then get the predictions ahead of that match. Don't forget, if you go onto PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, it's a great one-to-one with Gordon Strachan, who's been looking back over his playing career and his management career. And next week, we've got another belter, someone that I'm really looking forward to sitting down with and chatting about football, and I think you will too. Played up here and played at a top club in the Premier League in England and played for Scotland as well. So someone to look forward to in our one-to-ones next week on the programme. And also, if you get a chance, subscribe to our YouTube channel. More and more people discovering that we are now exclusively on YouTube. We'd love for you to join us. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell as well, and you get all the notifications. And if you download the PLZ Soccer app, you'll get all the breaking stories as well, right across the UK, Europe, and globally too. So, big games tomorrow night. Join us if you can tomorrow. Charlie's obviously playing in one, so he won't be here. You won't have to go and be looking at me. Hey, don't roll your eyes. You suggested being his taxi.
I don't mind it. I actually don't mind. He's a nice lad.
Yeah, Charlie's a good lad. He will be with us on Friday, but he won't be with us tomorrow. It's Ruffy, Tam McManus and myself. Join us at 4 if you can.